Speaking of strikers and movement, Romelo Lukaku, Gab, on his way to Roma, is that going to happen?
Romelo, wherefore art thou Romelu? Look, they're talking, right? Thiago Pinto and Ryan Friedkin, the son of the Roma owner, are here in London, and they're less than a mile away from where I'm speaking to you from. And they're here to hammer out a deal with Chelsea. Lukaku himself, yesterday, he was at his son's game and took selfies, signed autographs, posed with fans, and they asked him, "Hey, are you going to Roma?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm flying to Roma tomorrow to sign." My understanding is there's no deal in place yet. Everybody's hopeful, but there is a sticking point. Chelsea, as of right now, they want a loan fee, and they don't want to pay Lukaku's wages. So Roma cannot afford Lukaku's wages, certainly not if they also have to pay a loan fee as well. So something's got to give there. I imagine this gets done because it's beneficial to everyone. Maybe Chelsea dropping their demands of the loan fee or picking up some of the tab for Lukaku or in fact the other way around.
Sad to see him go, Frank. Oh, sorry, you want to pop in?
No, I was going to say, so he is picking up his phone these days, him and his representative.
I know, Gab's article was scathing about it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Obviously, he went on walkabouts,
yes.
which didn't please too many parties. But I suppose there's an air of desperation in there now, really, because choices are very limited. But I suppose Mourinho knows him as a player. That's all I can say.
Frank?
Well, the only thing I can say it's just sad to not see him playing because, I mean, for himself. But I understand that people are struggling to or hesitating to hire Romelo Lukaku after the season that he had, and the confidence is not really there. The performances are not really there. The wage is there, is here. So it's complicated for any employer. And then it becomes very frustrating and complicated for Lukaku himself. But it's a situation I'm not surprised about. When you play players like that, and the amount that they play players who are struggling now, it's difficulties to change everything, and that's what's going on with Lukaku.
Meanwhile, Gab, is João Félix going to Saudi Arabia?
What?
You know what? He's got to go somewhere, right? He can pretend that he's going to Barcelona and keep talking about Barcelona, and Barcelona will very politely say, "Oh yeah, it's wonderful that you want to be here, but shut the door there, so make sure he doesn't get in." Listen, I want to make this point about Saudi Arabia. I'm working a piece on this. People are acting as if there's a million clubs in Saudi Arabia and they're all splashing cash. If you actually look, there's only 4 teams in Saudi Arabia that have spent significant money, the ones that are owned by the Public Investment Fund. And you know what? A lot of those teams, the spots are full. They're only allowed 8 foreign players. I would assume that Uncle George Mendes has some sort of plan B lined up in Saudi Arabia, and they're keeping a seat warm for him. The transfer market doesn't close until the 20th of September. Certainly, I think it's what Atletico Madrid are hoping, that somebody will take this guy out of there. But I think they're kind of, they're walking a very, very fine line there, because teams in Saudi want to win, the ones that have money, and they're saying, well, if we don't have confirmation that he's coming, we'll go and spend our pot of money somewhere else.
Why did you cover your face when I mentioned that, Frank?
He's 23, come on. I mean, it's about football. It's about playing at the best level. I mean, cut your wage in half or maybe get just a quarter of it. I mean, this again an example of a player who has been paid maybe too much. Maybe he hasn't proven enough that what he worth. So, okay, I maybe live in a world of fantasy, but I consider football more important than money. So I used to live in a different world, but when you turn 3 years old and you are João Félix and you already made money, just try to play football in a very good league and start over and maybe prove that because we saw him playing with Chelsea last season. He was good. I mean, he did something well. At the point he was the best at front. So I'm very surprised if the guy goes there, and I would be very disappointed. I mean, he was like the Lens captain, 28 years old, signing for Al Nassr, I think. He's 28, come on. You could have played in Champions League with Lens, and the guy prefers to get the money. I'm very disappointed with some players' decisions.
We're running out of time, so I just want to move on to a couple of other transfer rumours. Balogun to Monaco, Gab?
Yeah, that looks like it's just about done. I think it's 30.5 million euros. I think it's pretty good for Arsenal, given that clearly he wasn't in Mikel Arteta's plans, and he showed he can move the needle in Ligue 1.
And finally, Tierney going to Real Sociedad.
Yeah, this would be a loan deal. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that, even with Zinchenko injured, he'd rather play Jurgen Timber there first and then Tomiyasu, almost anybody but Kieran Tierney. He's not a kid anymore. He's in his mid-20s now, and I think he understands that, he wants playing time, and that's what Sociedad can give it to him. The talk is that it's a loan fee and should be completed very soon.
Maybe the word with Martin Odegaard, who spent some time at Sociedad when he was at Real Madrid very successfully. So I think they're going to be fighting for the top four. He needs to play, so that's good news for Steve Clarke and for Kieran Tierney, because I think he is a player who has got something to offer, could do a job in the Premier League. Clearly, he's done it before, but Arsenal and Arteta feel they have better players and enough cover. So good experience for him, I think, going out to Spain.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.